Starting off at number 10, we have Bilal Phillips. His full name is Abu Amina Bilal Phillips, and he's the founder of an Islamic online university, and he's also Jamaican Canadian like myself. He's a very popular Islamic scholar, and he converted to Islam in the year 1972. Or should I say revert? I've seen some comments that people are saying, Leroy, it's not convert, it's actually revert. Either way, Bilal Phillips, he's known for translating and commenting on various Islamic topics on over 50 published books. He's completed his PhD in Islamic theology, and some of his works that he has actually translated were The Devil's Deception, and he's also co-authored Polygamy in Islam, Evolution of Fiqh, as well as the Ansar Cult, among others. Omar Suleiman comes in next at number 9. Now he's somebody that we've actually done a dedicated video about him, but if you haven't seen that video, Imam Omar Suleiman is the president of the Yakin Institute for Islamic Research, and he's also a teacher of Islamic studies at Southern Methodist University. He's a very busy man because he's also the co-chair of Faith Forward Dallas at Thanksgiving Square. And this, by the way, is an organization that works together for peace and equity. But it doesn't stop there. He is the founder and president of the Yakin Institute of Islamic Research, and he's also the founder of MUHSEN, that is Muslims Understanding and Helping Special Education Needs. And that, by the way, is a non-profit organization. He also produces a weekly series on the Quran that's published, as well as he releases daily content on Islam. Number 8 brings us Shabir Ali. He's a Canadian Muslim scholar, and he's also the president of the Islamic Information and Dawah Center International in Toronto, Canada, and that's where he serves as the Imam. Shabir Ali is also the founder of an online show that is titled Let the Quran Speak, and for his PhD, his thesis was on the expounding of the Quran. Now this guy, he's an amazing man. I've personally seen him debate live with a Christian scholar named Jay Smith. Both of them were very, very, very good, as well as they were very respectful for each other's faiths. Number 7 brings us to Numan Ali Khan. He's the founder of Bayina, and he's an American preacher who does his best to connect Muslims closer with the Quran. He's taught more than 10,000 students through conducting different traveling seminars, and he also has millions of followers in different parts of the world. As a matter of fact, he's recognized as one of the youngest scholars who have a lot of influence in general from across all faiths. We definitely have to talk about Yusuf Estes. He comes in at number 6. He was born Joseph Estes, but after his reversion or conversion, I think I'm using that word right, to Islam, he changed his name to Yusuf, which is of course the Arabic pronunciation of Joseph. He joined Islam from Christianity in the year 1991, and he also claimed to have been a Muslim chaplain for the United States Bureau of Prisons through the 1990s, and also serving as a Muslim delegate to the United Nations World Peace Conference for Religious Leaders, and that was held at the UN back in September of 2000. So of course, this man is very influential. He's recognized all around the world. Let's move on now to number 5, Mufti Menk. This man, we've also done a dedicated video on him as well. His full name is Ismail Ibn Musa Menk, and he was born in Zimbabwe. He is a very passionate and powerful Islamic preacher. He's the head of the Fatwa department at Majlisul Ulama Zimbabwe, which is the Council of Islamic Scholars of Zimbabwe. He also serves as the Imam at Masjid Al-Falah in Zimbabwe. He now has a title of Mufti, which is given in Islamic circles, and he's a very great speaker. Like I mentioned, he's spoken in different parts of the world, and I guess one of the amazing things about him is that he solely does his work just for the joy of sharing the message. So most times he just does his work for free. There's no charges or anything that's associated with a lot of the work that he does. Next up, we have Maulana Tariq Jamil. He comes in at number 4. He was born on January 1st, 1953, and usually when people are referring to him, they give him the title of Maulana, but his name is Tariq Jamil. He's of Pakistani origins, and he's a very famous speaker. He is a member of the Tablighi Jamaat, as well as a researcher who runs a madrasa in Faisalabad, Pakistan. Pakistan. He's featured in the 2013-2014 version of the book Muslim 500, and that publication recognizes the most influential Muslims in the world. He's also somebody that I've personally met. He's a really great guy. We had a great conversation when he visited Canada some years ago. Number 3 brings us Dr. Zakir Naik. His full name is Zakir Abdul Karim Naik, and he's an Indian Islamic evangelist, as well as he's an author and of course the leader of the Islamic Research Foundation. He's also the founder of the Relative Religion Peace TV channel, from which he has reached an audience of over 100 million viewers. Now, when you see Dr. Zakir Naik speak, especially in his videos and his interactions with people, you can see that he makes his points very clear, and he does his best to remove any misconceptions about Islam using the Quran and the Hadith as well as other religious scriptures as basis, along with using scientific evidence, as well as he's also very versed in the Bible. He can quote scriptures of the Bible, in some cases a lot better than other Christian scholars. So yeah, that's one of the reasons why there's such a great appeal towards his work. Israr Ahmed comes in at number 2. He was born back in the year 1932, but he's no longer with us today, sadly. Israr Ahmed was born in Pakistan. He was known for being a dynamic speaker and an Islamic scholar, and also was the founder of Tanzeen-e-Islami, which is an organization that works to spread the use of the Quran and Sunnah in all aspects of society. Sadly, Israr Ahmed, he passed away due to cardiac arrest at his home in Lahore, Pakistan, back in April 14, 2010, and he was 78 years old at the time. And finally, at number 1, we haven't done a video about him, but he's somebody who's also no longer with us. Ahmed Deedat. He has left a major legacy. Ahmed Hussain Deedat was born in India's Surat province in the year 1918, and his father had ended up immigrating to South Africa soon after, and he ended up moving and growing up there as well. He's delivered thousands of lectures in different parts of the world, as well as he's participated in public debates, as well as he's debated many different Christian scholars and people of different faiths. For his works, Ahmed Deedat was commended by Nelson Mandela, who also is no longer with us, as well as he's received the King Faisal Award from Saudi Arabia in the year 1986 for all of his services dedicated to Islam. Starting at number 10, we have Bilal Phillips. Dr. Abu Amina Bilal Phillips is a Jamaican-Canadian Islamic scholar who converted to Islam in the early 70s. Shortly after becoming a Muslim, he then began a journey to seek Islamic knowledge. That journey then took him to Saudi Arabia, where he completed a bachelor's in arts in Islamic studies in Medina and also an MA in Islamic theology in Riyadh. Then he went to the University of Wales, UK, where he completed a PhD in Islamic theology in the early 1990s.
When you look at the consequences, besides the fabrication of hadith,
Number 9 brings us Yusuf Estes. Sheikh Yusuf Estes is an American Muslim preacher as well as a teacher, and he had converted from Christianity to Islam in the year 1991. And this was after meeting a Muslim man when he was in Egypt. He was a Muslim chaplain for the United States Bureau of Prisons from 1994 up until the year 2000. And also he was a Muslim delegate to the United Nations World Peace Conference for Religious Leaders that was held at the UN in September 2000. Now what he does is he works to share the religion of Islam, as well as he hopes to share the correct message with the youth, new Muslims, as well as others in very simple English terms. He also tries to make the religion of Islam as well as the Quran as understandable as possible.
All of us are susceptible to people telling us stuff from the time we're born. We don't know. I'm a little kid, I'm born and I come into the world and people start telling me stuff. Who's the person I'm going to trust the very most?
Khalid Yassin is next. Sheikh Khalid Yassin is what is known as a da'i, and this is basically somebody who speaks publicly about the Islamic faith in order to really inspire the spiritual and moral conscience of the listeners, or also to just educate and inform people about the Islamic faith. He was born in Brooklyn, New York, and he learned to speak about inequality. Now, he grew up in foster homes from the age of 3, along with some of his siblings up until the age of 15 years old. He describes each of these foster homes as having a different Christian denomination, so he actually covered a lot of different denominations of Christianity growing up. Prior to his conversion to Islam, he was a gang member as well, and he converted to Islam in the year 1965.
God sent a prophet from among the Bani Israel. All the prophets came from a designated group of people.
The scholar at number 7 is Yusha Evans. Now, this man, Yusha Evans, was born and raised in Greenville, South Carolina in the United States into a very conservative Christian family. Now, during his early teens, he was really involved in the church, and that church is called Young Life, which is a non-denominational organization centered around the youth, and he actually had intentions of becoming a preacher. But later he converted to the religion of Islam in December of 1998, and Yusha, which comes from the name Joshua, he currently travels all around the world as a lecturer as well as a caller to Islam, and he also teaches workshops depending on where he is in different parts of the world.
Muslims, who I thought were the worst people on earth, could have the right religion. That was just something my brain was not ready to comprehend.
Hamza Yusuf is at number 6. Hamza Yusuf was born as Mark Hansen in Washington, and he grew up as a Greek Orthodox Christian. Now, in the year 1977, after a near-death experience in a car accident and then reading the Quran for himself, he converted from Christianity to Islam. Sheikh Hamza Yusuf, he spent 2 decades studying with the scholars over in the Middle East as well as different parts of Africa. And after returning to the United States, Sheikh Hamza Yusuf, he co-founded what is known as the Zaytuna College. And this is America's first accredited Muslim liberal arts college, and it's based in California. At number 5, we have the scholar Abdur Rahim Green. Abdur Rahim Green was born in 1962 in Tanzania to a British father and a Polish mother, and he grew up as a Roman Catholic. Now, fast forward to the year 1987, after struggling with his Roman Catholic upbringing as well as also practicing Buddhism for a short time, believe it or not, Abdur Rahim Green, he began his journey to Islam, and he officially converted in the year 1988. He soon became a regular at the Popular Speaker's Corner in Hyde Park over in London, and that's where he practiced Dawah, which is a call to Islam, and that was done on a regular basis.
Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he is Khatam al-Nabiyyin. He is the seal of the messengers. So that responsibility falls upon us.
Scholar number 4 is Hamza Andreas Sortsis, and he's a Muslim convert of Greek descent, as well as he's the author of The Divine Reality, God, Islam, and the Mirage of Atheism. He's a well-known public speaker as well as an instructor, and he has a master's and a postgraduate certificate in philosophy from the University of London. Hamza has studied Islamic thought and theology under qualified scholars, and he's delivered various different workshops as well as different courses and an accredited diploma course on topics related to Islamic thought as well as Islamic philosophy. Almost at the end of this episode, number 3 brings us Suhaib Webb. Now, Suhaib Webb was born William Webb into a Christian family, and his grandfather was also a Christian preacher. But as time went on, before he converted to Islam and long before he was considered a Muslim cleric actually, Imam Suhaib Webb lost complete interest in any religion. He became a street gangster, specifically a member of the Bloods gang, and he also became a hip-hop DJ and a producer. But after converting to Islam, he founded SWIS, which stands for the Suhaib Webb Institute of Sacred Sciences. And this, by the way, is an Islamic educational experience that uses multiple teaching methods in a structured curriculum so that people can build their Islamic literacy. Only 2 more scholars to look at, and number 2 brings us Dr. Lawrence B. Brown. Born as a Christian American up until his conversion to Islam in April of 1994, Dr. Brown was definitely somebody that anyone looking in would say like, well, yeah, he's living the stereotypical American dream. He's a graduate from 2 Ivy League universities, and he also served as a respected ophthalmologist in the United States Air Force for 8 years. Now, after a personal miracle where his daughter's life was saved, Dr. Brown changed his focus to religious studies, and he ended up in the religion of Islam. And finally, our scholar number 1 in this episode is Nuha Mim Keller. He's an Islamic scholar, teacher, as well as an author. Nuhamim Keller studied philosophy and Arabic at the University of Chicago and the University of California, Los Angeles. He'd converted to Islam from Roman Catholicism in the year 1977. Now, on top of teaching Sufism, which is like the spiritual inner dimension of Islam, he has also written several books and articles on a wide range of subjects. And probably one of the most prominent of his works to this very date is The Reliance of the Traveler. And by the way, that's an annotated English translation of the Umdat al-Salik, which is a Shafi'i legal work by Ahmad ibn Naqib al-Misri. It contains over 6,000 legal rulings, as well as it was the first English translation of an Islamic legal work to be certified by the Al-Azhar University. Number 10, and that is Shabir Ali. Now, Shabir Ali is a Canadian Muslim scholar, and he's also the president of the Islamic Information and Dawah Center International in Toronto, Canada. And that's where he serves as the Imam. Now, Shabir Ali is also the founder of an online show, and it's called Let the Quran Speak. By the way, you can find his videos here on YouTube as well. He has a PhD, and his PhD thesis is on the exegesis of the Quran. And by the way, that fancy word exegesis just means explanation or interpretation. Now, I've actually attended a debate where Shabir Ali was speaking, and he was debating another Christian scholar, and I have to say that this guy was very knowledgeable and he articulated his points really well. All around, he's a great guy.
So Ramadan is closely connected with the Quran. This is why Muslims make it a habit of reading the Quran more so in Ramadan than any other time.
Moving on now to number 9, we have Bilal Phillips. His full name is Abu Amina Bilal Phillips, and he's recognized for founding the Islamic Online University, and he's a Jamaican Canadian Islamic scholar. Back in the year 1972, that's when he converted to Islam, and he has translated as well as commented on various Islamic topics on over 50 published books. He completed his PhD in Islamic theology back in the year 1994 from the University of Wales. And by the way, among some of his works that he's translated were The Devil's Deception, and his co-authored works are Polygamy in Islam, Evolution of Fiqh, The Ansar Cult, The Fundamentals of Tawheed, and Hajj and Umrah according to the Quran and Sunnah. Number 8 brings us Yasmin Mogahed. Yasmin Mogahed is known for captivating her audience. She's known internationally for her motivational lectures. Now, she's a psychology graduate, and she got her master's in journalism as well as mass communications from the University of Wisconsin-Madison. So, of course, that sort of speaks to how she's able to just really communicate with a massive amount of people in a very effective way. She's also the first Muslim woman to become an instructor at the Al-Maghrib Institute. So very amazing achievement for her.
When I was young, we had a lot of youth training. We used to call it Mina at that age, or YM.
And on that note, number 7 brings us Dalia Mogahed. Dalia Mogahed is an American researcher, and she's originally from Egypt. Now, she's a director of research at the Institute of Social Policy and Understanding in Washington, D.C. Just last year in 2019, she was recognized in the list of 200 people who best embody the spirit of work of Frederick Douglass, who's one of the most influential figures in history by the Frederick Douglass Family Initiatives and the Anti-Racist Research and Policy Center at American University in collaborations with The Guardian. Now, she was also selected as an advisor by the US President Barack Obama, or I should say former US President, but specifically she was an advisor on the White House Office of Faith-Based and Neighborhood Partnerships. So of course, she was able to have a huge impact under the Obama administration. Number 6 brings us Omar Suleiman. Imam Omar Suleiman is the president of the Yaqin Institute for Islamic Research, as well as a teacher of Islamic Studies at Southern Methodist University. Now, he's also the inhabitant researcher of the Valley Ranch Islamic Center. And by the way, he's also co-chair of Faith Forward Dallas at Thanksgiving Square. And that, by the way, is a multi-confidence organization together for peace and equity. And just to speak a little bit more of who he is, he's an American Muslim scholar, civil rights activist. Omar Suleiman also founded the Muslims Understanding and Helping Special Education Needs, which is a non-profit organization Compilation. He also has a series on the Quran weekly that is published, as well as he makes contributions to the Hadith of the day. Moving on now to the scholar at number 5, and that is Numan Ali Khan. He's a founder of the Bayana Ustad. He's an American preacher that connects Muslims to the Quran. Now, by the way, he's taught more than 10,000 students through seminars, and this guy literally has millions of followers. He's recognized all around the world as one of the young and most influential Western Muslim scholars. Number 4 brings us Mufti Menk. I've been seeing this guy's name quite often in the comment section. You guys are asking for videos about him. Ismail ibn Musa Menk, better known as Mufti Menk. He's a renowned Islamic preacher as well as a Mufti of Zimbabwe. He's the head of the Fatwa department of the Majlisul Ulama Zimbabwe, and that's the Council of the Islamic Scholars of Zimbabwe. And he also serves as the Imam at the Masjid Al-Falah. Mufti Menk, he's a phenomenal inspirational speaker and lecturer, and he's known around the world. And one of the most inspiring things about this guy is that he really just works mainly for the joy of serving Allah. And he does this without little to no financial reward. Yusuf Estes comes in at number 3. Now, Yusuf Estes, who was born Joseph Estes back in the year 1944, and he's an American minister from Texas, and he converted from Christianity to Islam back in the year 1991. According to him, he claims to have been a Muslim chaplain for the United States Bureau of Prisons throughout the 1990s, as well as he served as a Muslim delegate to the United Nations World Peace Conference for Religious Leaders, and that was held at the UN in September 2000. Number 2 brings us Maulana Tariq Jamil, and by the way, I've done a video just dedicated to him, so that's probably going to be in the video description down below, a link to that video, as well as maybe in the card section of this episode. But either way, Tariq Jamil was born in January of 1953. He's of Pakistani descent. He's a religious and Islamic researcher, evangelist, as well as he's an open speaker. He's from the Tablighi Jamaat and a researcher who runs a madrasa in Faisalabad, Pakistan. And he was also recognized as an impactful and influential speaker in the 2013-2014 version of the book Muslim 500. We got one more Islamic scholar left, and at number 1, that is Dr. Zakir Naik. Zakir Abdul Karim Naik is an Indian Islamic evangelist as well as an author, and he's a leader of the Islamic Research Foundation. He's also the author of the Peace TV channel, where, by the way, he receives over 100 million viewers. Now, there's a lot of appeal when it comes to Dr. Zakir Naik because he actually aims to clear up misconceptions about Islam and the Quran and the Hadith. And when he does his explaining, he uses a lot of science as well. So unlike many other Islamic preachers, his lectures are actually delivered in the common language that people can understand. And he delivers them in English and not in Urdu or Arabic. Of course, English is a much wider spoken language than any of those languages.